Welcome to the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu.
Great to be diving into this one.
Absolutely. Today, we're exploring Charles Duhigg's Supercommunicators, How to Unlock the Secret Language of Connection 1 Hour Guide.
It's a really fascinating book.
Right. Think of this as your concentrated dose of conversational wisdom. We'll go chapter by chapter.
Not just the ideas, but the practical stuff too, right? How you can actually use this.
Exactly. Ways to, immediately enhance your connections. This 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu is really for anyone wanting to go deeper.
Beyond just surface chat.
Yeah.
Really understanding and being understood.
Yeah. Leaders, entrepreneurs, anyone interested in self-improvement, really.
And what's so compelling, I think, about Duhigg's work and what we want to unpack here is not just what makes good communication, but the why behind it.
Great. The fundamentals. Why do some talks just click while others, well, fall flat?
Exactly. We're looking for those insights you can apply day to day.
Okay, let's jump into chapter 1, the big one to start, the matching principle.
This is really the core concept, isn't it?
It feels like it. So Duhigg argues that effective communication really starts when we align our conversational mindsets.
Mindsets. Can you break that down a bit?
Well, he uses this great story. Jim Lawler, the CIA officer.
Well, yeah, the Yasmin story.
That's the one. Initially, Lawler was all business, transactional, I need info, practical.
And it totally failed.
Completely. It only worked when he shifted gears, became more vulnerable, shared his own doubts. That's when the connection happened.
And that vulnerability, that shift, highlights the different underlying modes of conversation Duhigg talks about.
Exactly. He breaks them down, right? Is it practical? Like, what's this really about?
Getting stuff done?
Logistics?
Or is it emotional? How do we feel? Connecting on feelings.
Empathy? Validation?
And the third is social. Who are we? Exploring identities, group dynamics, belonging.
Lawler's mistake was being stuck in, what's this really about? When Yasmin clearly needed something more, probably emotional or social. Totally. And when he showed that vulnerability, boom, he tapped right into, how do we feel?
And the neuroscience bit here is just amazing. Neural entrainment.
It's really interesting, doesn't it? When we truly connect, our brainwaves can actually start to synchronize, like literally.
It's wild. Supercommunicators, Duhigg says, have this knack for helping that happen, like musicians finding the same beat.
Great analogy. It creates this harmony, this deeper understanding.
And it's not just a metaphor. The research backs it up. Synchronization builds trust.
Okay, so how do we do this? How do we apply the matching principle ourselves?
Well, the 1 Hour Guide gives some steps. First, just awareness. What kind of conversation is this, really?
What's the unspoken focus? Are they looking for a solution? Or maybe just empathy? Or trying to figure out where they stand in the group?
You have to observe. Listen not just to words, but the tone.
Yeah.
Body language. Are they talking facts or feelings? Individual stuff or group stuff?
Those clues help you ID the main mindset, right?
Exactly. And once you have a sense of it, the next step is crucial. Adjust your style to match.
So if someone's clearly upset, don't just jump in with solutions.
Right. That feels dismissive.
Yeah.
You need to offer empathy first. Acknowledge the feeling. Match that how do we feel vibe. Meet them where they are.
Makes sense. The book also mentions seeking out learning conversations.
Yeah, I like that idea, where the main goal isn't winning or just info dumping, but truly understanding each other, shared learning.
That kind of mindset automatically makes you more open and adaptable, doesn't it?
And vulnerability again, like Lawler. Sharing appropriately makes it safe for others. It deepens that emotional connection.
So fundamentally, why is matching so critical?
Because mismatches cause friction. If someone needs emotional support and you give them a 5-point plan,
They feel totally unheard. Yeah.
the matching principle helps avoid those disconnects. It builds the foundation for actual understanding. Step 1.
Okay, moving to chapter 2. This one might surprise people. Every meaningful conversation is a negotiation.
Yeah, not negotiation like haggling, but something more subtle.
Right. He uses that jury deliberation case, Leroy Reed trial.
Fascinating example. They weren't just arguing facts. They were implicitly negotiating what they were really talking about.
Justice, the law's nuances, their feelings about Reed.
And how they decide together. The group dynamics. Professor Booley acted as a guide for those unspoken negotiations.
So there are these two negotiations happening simultaneously.
Seems like it. First, the quiet negotiation about the topic. What are we really trying to discuss here? It unfolds through cues, shifts in focus.
And second, the negotiation of the rules, the conversational norms.
Who talks when? How do we disagree? How formal is this? It's usually unspoken, but it hugely impacts the flow.
It reminds me a bit of that Harvard negotiation project idea, interest-based negotiation.
Exactly. Supercommunicators get past the stated positions. They uncover the underlying needs, the interests.
They expand the pie, as they say.
Right. By asking open questions, really listening, they find out the deeper why. Someone says, I need more autonomy.
But maybe what they really need is trust or recognition.
And knowing that why opens up way more solutions than just blindly giving more autonomy.
So how do we get better at navigating these subtle negotiations? The 1-hour guide has tips here too.
It starts with open-ended questions. Really try to understand their perspective, what they want to get out of this talk.
Then, sharp observation. Watch reactions, body language, tone shifts. Are their needs being met?
And be flexible. Adapt the rules if needed. If something's not working, maybe suggest a different approach. Introduce a new element carefully.
And keep checking in, right? Confirm you're both on the same page.
Absolutely. Avoid those misunderstandings building up.
Yeah.
Reinforce that it's collaborative. Remember, the goal isn't winning.
It's mutual understanding, achieving a shared purpose.
Whether it's a big meeting or just chatting with a friend, seeing these negotiations helps, as this 1-hour guide by Neil Nathu points out.
Definitely improves things. Okay, chapter 3. Listening. The underestimated superpower.
Oh, hugely underestimated. He starts with that hedge fund story, right? Managers learning that really listening was tied to making money.
Yeah, it shows it's not passive at all. And Duhigg, building on Nicholas Epley's work, busts some myths.
Like it's not just about eye contact and nodding.
Right. Epley found that great listening often flows naturally from conversations that are genuinely engaging. And what makes them engaging?
Often it's tapping into emotions, asking questions that invite a bit of vulnerability. That makes people lean in, pay more attention.
Because when someone shares something real, emotionally, it kicks off that cycle of disclosure we talked about, the how do we feel loop.
Exactly. We listen harder when we sense real feelings.
Epley even taught people how to ask seemingly neutral questions that actually prompt emotional reflection. He contrasts perspective taking
Where you guess what someone feels.
with perspective getting, which is simply asking them about their inner world. Much more effective.
Which leads right into that practical technique.
Yeah.
Looping for understanding.
So useful. 3 steps, right? Ask questions inviting emotional sharing.
Then summarize what you heard. Sure you got it.
And finally, ask for confirmation. Did I get that right? Or is there more to it?
It's powerful. It shows you're genuinely trying to understand, not just waiting to talk.
Research shows it boosts trust, cooperation.
And neurologically, good listening creates neural coupling. Speaker and listener brain activity starts to mirror each other. Better comprehension, stronger connection.
So how do we get better listeners? The guide gives pointers. Start with curiosity.
Yeah, be genuinely interested in their experience, not just pushing your own agenda.
Ask those emotionally anchored questions. Values, concerns, hopes, not just facts.
Practice looping. Make it a habit.
And be willing to be vulnerable yourself sometimes. It encourages others.
And sometimes, just be quiet. Let the conversation breathe. Give them space.
Seriously, trying these listening strategies from the 1-hour guide could change your relationships.
Okay, chapter 4. This is tricky. How do you hear emotions people don't say out loud?
Oof, yeah. Duhigg gets personal here, talking about the silence around his dad's death, that discomfort with vulnerability.
It's a potent reminder that feelings are always there, under the surface, even if unspoken, affecting things.
He uses the Big Bang Theory development as a case study.
Right. How they learn to show emotions through nonverbal cues, gestures, tone, expressions, even when the character's words were awkward.
It shows how much emotional information comes through nonverbally. Tone, body language, energy. Duhigg calls it mood and energy alignment.
When we connect emotionally, our nonverbals tend to sync up.
Supercommunicators pick up on this. They sense a mismatch between words and feelings.
And they use that awareness to navigate more empathetically.
So how do we get better at hearing the unspoken? The 1-hour guide suggests, first, pay conscious attention to nonverbals.
Eye contact, posture, facial tics, tone shifts, all of it.
Then, try to subtly match their mood and energy, not mimicking, but aligning your emotional tone, showing you're tuned in.
Ask deeper questions again. Questions that invite feeling talk, not just fact talk. How did that make you feel?
Reciprocal vulnerability helps too. Sharing something real makes it safer for them.
And that yes and technique from improv. Acknowledge the emotion you sense. Validate it. Build on it.
The chapter also mentions emotional contagion, how feelings spread.
Your vulnerability can actually trigger that. leading to deeper connection. Developing this emotional fluency, as the guide stresses, is vital for richer relationships.
Chapter 5. Connecting amid conflict. This is a tough one.
Essential, though. Duhigg shares that incredible story about the gun control debate experiment. Melanie Jeffcoat
That story is amazing. People with totally opposite views.
found common ground through intense emotional listening and being vulnerable. It shows that how do we feel? Conversation works even with huge disagreements.
It's such a contrast to angry online arguments, right? Which often lack shared rules or structure for real dialogue.
Exactly. And he brings in findings from relationship researchers. The love shrinks.
Right, how surface fights often cover up deeper emotional needs.
So how do we handle conflict better? The guide offers steps. First, acknowledge and look for understanding. Even if you totally disagree, make them feel heard.
That's the foundation. Then, look for any point of agreement, however small.
Helps lower the temperature. Build common ground. Watch your language too temperate. Avoid absolutes. Be nuanced.
And crucially, name the emotional layer. Ask about the feelings underneath. What's really at stake for you emotionally here?
That gets to the heart of it. And finally, share your own vulnerability thoughtfully. It builds empathy.
The main thing is, the goal isn't winning the fight.
It's understanding. Focusing on emotions and needs can turn conflict into connection, like this one-hour guide shows.
Okay, last chapter, chapter 6, social identities, the who are we conversation.
How our group memberships shape everything.
Our sense of belonging, profession, culture, hobbies, it all carries assumptions, biases, expectations. He uses that classic summer camp study.
The Eagles and Rattlers shows how fast group identity forms bonds within the group and divides between groups.
And these identities aren't fixed, right? Their importance shifts depending on the situation, like the doctor-patient example.
Yeah, the power dynamic tied to those roles really changes the communication.
So, navigating these identity conversations needs care. The guide suggests drawing out multiple identities.
Remind everyone involved that we're complex, not just one label. Helps break down stereotypes.
Create equal footing, too. Avoid pulling rank or creating hierarchies.
And actively look for genuine common ground. Shared values, experiences, goals. Bridge those identity gaps.
The environment matters, too. Try to make it feel safe, non-threatening, and speak from your experience, not generalizations about groups.
Duhigg's example of Dr. J. Rosenblum is great here. Vaccinating hesitant parents.
He focused on their shared identity as caring parents, used motivational interviewing. It worked.
It really shows how understanding social identity, detailed in this one-hour guide by Anil Nathu, helps communication across all sorts of diversity.
So wrapping up our deep dive into Charles Duhigg's Supercommunicators. Wow, we covered a lot.
We really did. The matching principle, conversational negotiation, listening and looping, hearing unspoken emotions, connecting in conflict, and social identities.
It really drives home that being a supercommunicator isn't magic. It's learnable skills. Empathy, awareness, being intentional.
Definitely.
Which leads to our final thought for you, the listener. Think about those conversation types: practical, emotional, social.
Which one do you lean into most naturally?
And how could consciously bringing in the other types, maybe ones you avoid, actually transform your connections? Something to mull over.
Good question to ponder.
Thank you for joining us today. Buy the book at the One Hour Guide website for more business insights.